Alright, so today we're going to talk about gerrymandering. What gerrymandering is basically a process where the Republicans and the Democrats redraws congressional district to give themselves an advantage to win as many congressional seats as possible. Gerrymandering usually happens every 10 years when these census are updated. So a brief background on gerrymandering. In 1812, Albert Gerry, the governor of Massachusetts, passed a bill that allowed him to redraw the congressional district. Albert wanted to let his party win as many congressional districts as possible. The redrawn congressional district turned out to look kind of like a salamander. The Boston Gazette took Gerry's name and salamander and combined them to make gerrymandering. So the most common way of gerrymandering is known as packing and cracking. The first way of gerrymandering is known as packing. Packing is when we pack every opposing party voters into one giant congressional districts. So for example here, we have 6 congressional districts and we pack majority of red voters into one single congressional district and we get the remaining 5 congressional districts. So the second type of gerrymandering is known as cracking. And cracking usually happens when there's one giant opposing party voters in the congressional district. For example here we have 4 congressional districts and there's red voters and blue voters. And you can see there's one giant opposing party voters in the middle and we crack them and we separate them out into different congressional districts. And now our red party has 3 congressional districts whereas the blue party only has 1. Here are some real-life examples of gerrymander states. All 4 of these congressional districts are pretty oddly shaped, except maybe for Georgia, but Illinois and Louisiana and North Carolina are all perfect examples of gerrymandering. These are some of the famous federal court cases over gerrymandering. The first one is Shaw versus Reno, the second one is Westbury versus Sanders, and the third one is Baker versus Carr. Shaw versus Reno took place in North Carolina in 1993. So in 1993, North Carolina redraw their congressional district lines. They established 2 black majority congressional districts. However, one of the districts was really small, so people challenged the constitutionality of the unusually shaped district. Residents argued that the purpose of a tiny congressional district was for NC to secure a black representative into the congressional seat. Later on, this case established that district lines could no longer be drawn on the basis of race. Westbury versus Sanders took place in Georgia in 1963. Westbury argued that some of the Georgia congressional district had a lot more population than other congressional districts. And because of this, his voting has been diluted by this congressional districts. The question presented to the Supreme Court was that did Georgia's congressional districts violate the 14th Amendment to deprive citizens of the full benefit of their right to vote? As a result of Westbury versus Sanders, congressional districts are now required to have equal amount of people in each district. Baker versus Carr was the very first Supreme Court cases over gerrymandering. This case coined the term "one man, one vote." It helped equalize the representation between country and city dwellers in this urbanized nation. An independent redistrict commission is usually bipartisan or nonpartisan. Their main goal is to draw the electoral district line without any political influence at all. There are only 2 things you need to know about gerrymandering. The first one is Albert Gerry, and the second one is a salamander. Thanks for watching.